portion of the show is brought to you by Game On, Game Pulse, and the Green Thunder.
Well, I hunt with a good friend of mine, and he's actually just started on a pro staff. I introduced him to my brother-in-laws and everything, and he actually is an excellent hunter, and he's out there all the time filming and hunting and stuff, and his name's Joe Birmingham.
I had one deer in mind that I wanted to try to challenge myself and pattern and see if I can connect on this one deer, and I told Chris about him. I had a bunch of pictures of him. Actually had some pictures of him 20 minutes before we even got there.
I like that big camera. I like it. Professional. 212 pictures in the last 24 hours. Those deer were here 15 minutes before we got here.
The deer on the Ohio side and West Virginia side are a bit different.
The gene pool just isn't what it is in Ohio. I just started hunting Ohio last year for the first time, and it's making it a little bit tougher to sit out my place when you're going out in the woods, and when the rut's on, you're seeing 130s, 140s, and above running around all over the place.
You'll find a lot larger deer on the Ohio side and a lot bigger sized deer on the Ohio side. And you go right across the river and they're totally different.
Some scientists believe that there are up to 30 to 40 different whitetail species just in the United States. Now, if you live as close to the Ohio River as we do, you can clearly see a difference between the bucks in West Virginia and the bucks in Ohio. Not taking anything away from the West Virginia deer, but it's just it's like two different genes. Ohio, typically you see in Ohio, they got more mass, longer tines. West Virginia, I don't know what it is. They just don't grow them as big as we do here in Ohio.
If you see a 120 in West Virginia, especially up in the northern panhandle, that's considered a pretty good trophy over there. We just don't have the food over there. We don't have the genetics, and with the real liberal seasons, with being allowed to take 3 bucks a year, I think a lot of these deer aren't able to grow to a mature age. The buck that I picked out on my property this year, like I said, he seemed to be the oldest buck out of the 3 nicer 8 points. I actually passed on 2 bucks that were bigger than him, but they looked to be only about 2.5 years old. This deer was he was an older deer. He was one of the most mature ones I had running around out there.
Joe's been watching this deer. He's been watching deer on his property every day. He gets out there weeks before hunting season starts, and this was his mature deer that he had on the property that he wanted to kill.
We were set up on an evening hunt. This was early season. I think it was in around the first week of the season.
We're watching, he has a bait pile out, and he has the corn out, and the does and the raccoons, he said, has been eating into it. We've seen a ton of does come into it. So we're just sitting there watching, and before long we've seen a couple bucks come in.
When I saw the 4-point come in, I told Chris, get the camera ready. A lot of times this deer's following. The 4-point came and he walked through, and about maybe 5 minutes behind him, here come that 8-point.
It's real thick brush and everything. So I'm trying to find this deer, and I see him, and eventually I get on him. And when I get on him, I stayed on the whole time, and this deer came right into us.
I had a very small hole to shoot through. If he would have kept going where the 4-point went, it would have been wide open shot. But he stopped about 10 yards short of what I wanted him to.
And he stopped, and he's sitting there watching that bait pile. And you can hear it on the camera. I keep telling Joe, I'm on him, I'm on him, I'm on him. And I'm wondering, the broadside shot, why isn't Joe taking the shot?
I saw that he started getting real nervous. He knew something wasn't right. So I had a little hole to shoot through. It was maybe a little bit bigger than the size of a softball, but I knew, I felt comfortable making the shot, so settled the pin on him, hit the release. After I made the shot, I knew it was a good shot on him.
Beautiful shot. Right, lunged him. It was a perfect shot.
And we heard him crash. It sounded like a bulldozer running through the woods. We heard him pile up about 75 yards away or so. And I knew right in the general area that he went.
Pumped up, are you? I think I hit him perfect. It looked like he had to shoot through a small hole there. There's a hole about this big. It looked like he was was getting nervous. I wanted him to take another step, but I was able to get down and shoot right through that hole. I had a hole, it's about that big. That's all you need in arrows, any this big. That's a good deer. Yeah, I don't think that deer went far. There he is. I don't think he's the one I was looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 point. Hit him good. I got him right in the lungs. It's a good West Virginia deer. Seems like he's an older deer. We had a lot of action today. Probably about an hour before he came in, we started seeing deer. They started moving. Started off some does and some young bucks came in. And like I said, I've seen him on trail camera a lot of times. Right after I see there's this little young 4-point running around, right after that he usually shows up. And I told Chris, I said, about that, and 10 minutes later, here he come walking in, and put a good shot on him. He went about 100 yards.
After we got up to deer, I felt a big sense of accomplishment, being able to key in on one deer and try to hunt that specific deer only. And I felt like it's good practice for, I'm going, starting to hunt Ohio a lot more now. And if I find that big one in Ohio, I think some of the skills that I learned trying to hunt that deer will help me over there too.